Leadership is influenced through inspiration, not manipulation. Write that down. Say it with me. Leadership is not coercion. It is not threats. It is not the silent treatment with a smile on top. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, birthed by convictions, produced by a sense of purpose. That sentence is a ladder. And if you climb it, you will stop breaking the backs of your people with policies and start lifting their heads with purpose. Are you hearing me? Let me name the pain, because some of you are living in it every Monday morning. Toxic cultures smell like fear. You can smell it in the hallways. You can taste it in the meetings. They sound like silence when honest feedback is needed. They look like politicking in the corners, while the real work is starved of oxygen. They feel like talent in survival mode, gifted people shrinking their brilliance to avoid becoming a target. And then we wonder why excellence is hiding. It's not hiding, it's suffocating. Control strangles. Manipulation bruises the soul. Fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. Ephesians 6:4 warns, because provocation produces rebellion, not righteousness. Apply that to your team. When leaders provoke with intimidation, people don't give you their best. They give you the minimum to avoid punishment. That's not culture, that's captivity. Write this down. Culture does not change because you wrote a policy. Culture changes because you became a policy. What you consistently inspire, model, reward, and protect becomes the culture. Policies on the wall without principles in the heart create hypocrisy. Vision on the brochure without virtue in the boardroom creates cynicism. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18 says, another translation says, they cast off restraint. Let me flip it for the workplace. Where there is only control, the people put on masks. They hide. They say yes and mean no. They smile and then sabotage. Why? Because control doesn't change behavior. It only drives it underground. Say it out loud. Influence changes behavior. Control hides behavior. I walked into a company recently, let's call it Iron Gate Manufacturing. Beautiful logo, tall glass doors, policies laminated at every entrance. But the atmosphere? Ice cold. People were moving like ghosts. The receptionist whispered, we don't speak up around here. The CFO told me privately, we've got high turnover, but we keep running engagement surveys to fix it. Friend, you don't survey a prison to freedom. You unlock it. I sat with the CEO, good man, smart man, tired man. He slid a binder across the table, our new culture document. I slid it back and said, sir, paper doesn't make culture. People do. Your people are waiting to see what you will personally inspire, model, reward, and protect consistently. Let me reframe the core question we've been asking. Not how do we enforce values. The right question is, how do we embody values in such a way that they become contagious? How do we create a gravitational pull toward excellence so strong that cutting corners becomes embarrassing? How do we make integrity so normal that lying is odd? Influence does that. Inspiration does that. Light does that. Control can only police, only inspiration can parent. You don't engineer trust with surveillance. You grow it by serving first, by going first, by bleeding first if necessary. Jesus said, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:26. That's not soft, that's strategy. Servanthood is not weakness. It is the most potent form of legitimate power because it wins the will, not just the compliance. Now hear the promise. I am not here to give you trendy HR tips. HR can manage processes, but only leaders can heal cultures. What I bring you is a 7-step influence blueprint anchored in timeless laws older than any management bestseller. If you took the dust off your Bible long enough to read it with a business mind, you would find an operating system in Genesis 1:28. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and have dominion. We will unpack a progression that begins with rediscovering purpose. Because without purpose, you have motion. Without meaning, then converts convictions into visible behaviors. Because the world doesn't eat seeds. The world eats fruit, then paints a vision people can see themselves in. Inspires leaders to go first. produces tangible cultural fruit that anyone can taste and repeat, multiplies it through systems that outpace turnover, and finally installs guardrails so the right fruit survives and spreads, culminating in a reputation that the market remembers. That's not a memo, that's a movement. That's not control, that's cultivation. But today, the foundation is this: you cannot control a toxic culture into health. You must inspire it into transformation. I know that sounds threatening to those who are addicted to power, but power without purpose is dangerous. The illusion of control feels efficient. Just make them do it. But the bill arrives later with interest, low trust, high churn, mediocrity, and your best people quietly updating their resumes. I'd rather invest early in inspiration and reap loyalty, creativity, and compounding excellence. Influence costs you more up front because you must change first. Control demands that others change while you don't. That's why manipulators love control. It lets them stay lazy. Leaders love influence. It forces them to grow. Write this down. What you reward becomes your culture. What you protect becomes your legacy. If you reward fear-driven activity, you will breed actors. If you protect politics, you will lose prophets, those truth tellers your future requires. Begin now with small things. Celebrate candor in the meeting. Protect the person who raises the awkward truth. Model apology when you miss it. Apologize publicly, correct privately. Pay people for outcomes, not over time. Replace the watchful eye with a compelling why. You will be surprised how quickly the air changes. Say it again until your soul believes it. Influence changes behavior. Control hides behavior. Tell your neighbor, I am moving from pressure to presence. Because your presence as a leader, your values made visible, your convictions consistent, your vision vocal becomes the thermostat of the house. You don't measure culture by posters. You measure it by temperature. Are people warm with courage? Are ideas flowing? Are problems surfacing early? That's influence at work. We are going to build this together, step by step, seed to dominion. But the first repentance is this: lay down the whip, pick up the towel, trade commanding for compelling. Invite your people into a future they can see and own. And watch what happens when honor replaces fear. Dead bones live. I speak over your house what the Creator spoke over the first assignment. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, have dominion. Not over people, over problems, over chaos, over complacency. It begins with you deciding today to lead by inspiration, not manipulation. Write that down. And then demonstrated by morning. Now let's put the light on the malignancy. We don't heal what we won't name. Manipulation is not leadership. It is insecurity with a microphone. Write this down. Manipulation extracts compliance by threatening loss. Inspiration ignites conviction by promising purpose. Manipulation says, do it or else. Inspiration says, become it because you were born for it. One drains the soul, the other fills it with oxygen. Paul told Timothy, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1-7. Any culture driven by fear is not from God, it is from your anxiety. Say it out loud so it stings, then heals. Fear produces actors. Vision produces owners. How do you detect manipulation? I brought my X-ray. Number one, performance by fear. People hit numbers but lose their nerve. There's a shaky excellence. Glossy on the outside, brittle on the inside. Deadlines are met, but devotion is missing. You can hear it in the phrases that echo down the hallway. Just do what they want. Don't stick your neck out. Number two, meetings after the meeting. The real conversation is underground because the above ground space is unsafe. The truth goes into the basement for protection. Number three, guarded communication. Emails are written like legal documents, not love letters to the mission. Everyone CCs 12 people as a shield. Information flows up, not across. Number four, title dependence. The only way something moves is if someone flashes a badge. I'm the VP, that's why. Listen, when your title has to speak because your life won't, your influence is bankrupt. Write that down. Tell your neighbor, titles announce, character convinces. Let's go deeper. Toxic culture is not a surprise, it is a harvest. Jesus said, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:16. He didn't say by their mission statements. The world doesn't eat seeds, the world eats fruit. So inspect the fruit. If the fruit in your house is gossip, the seed beneath it is fear of truth. If the fruit is silence, the seed is retaliation. If the fruit is turnover, the seed is distrust. If the fruit is politicking, the seed is unclear purpose and scarce honor. Fruit is behavior, seed is belief. Write this down. Inspect behavior to locate belief. Don't fix the leaves, fix the root. Are you getting this? I sat with a brilliant founder, let's call her Mara, from a high-growth tech firm, Firelight Labs. She said, we have the best perks in the city, free lunches, unlimited vacation, but people look exhausted and avoid me. I said, perks can't perfume poison. We shadowed her for 2 days. Every stand-up, she corrected publicly and praised privately. Every risk that missed the mark received a sarcastic joke masked as humor. Every idea that threatened her status was gently dismissed with, not now. We need to be realistic. The fruit? Meetings after the meeting, guarded communication, and a visible hush when she stepped into the room. The seed? A belief that control is safer than trust, that excellence requires fear to keep people sharp, that vision is hers to protect, not theirs to own. When the root believes people cannot be trusted, the branches produce surveillance, not synergy. Write that down. Cultures don't have problems. Leaders have patterns that cultures copy. Say it. Leaders have patterns. Your people are mirrors, not magicians. They cannot reproduce what you do not consistently display. Like priests, like people, Hosea 4:9. Apply it. Like leader, like staff. If your team is addicted to applause and allergic to correction, check the stage you built. If your managers hoard information, check whether you reward fiefdoms or collaboration. If your supervisors weaponize policies, ask how often you model mercy. The harvest in your corridors is a photocopy of the habits in your heart. Let me give you the fruit test in the simplest form. Galatians 5 lists the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Imagine these as cultural indicators. Love is honor. Joy is creative energy. Peace is psychological safety. Patience is space for learning. Kindness is generous feedback. Goodness as integrity. Faithfulness as follow-through. Gentleness as conflict without cruelty. Self-control as principle over impulse. Now hold up your workplace to this mirror. If the fruit is bitterness, short tempers, blame shifting, chronic urgency with no Sabbath, then the root is not the spirit of purpose, it's the spirit of fear and vanity. If the fruit is bitter, the seed that fed it was wrong. So let's change the seed. Say it with me. Change the seed. Manipulation installs scarcity. It says, there's not enough respect for everyone, so I'll take it. It breeds comparison. It hoards praise like a miser. Inspiration installs abundance. It says, there is more glory in the mission than any one of us can carry. Let's distribute it. Manipulation uses policy as a weapon. Inspiration uses policy as a promise. Manipulation hides behind closed doors. Inspiration opens the door and goes first. Write this down. You cannot threaten your way to trust. You cannot micromanage your way to mastery. You cannot terrorize your way to truth. Perfect love casts out fear, 1 John 4:18. In organizational language, perfect purpose displaces panic. Some of you say, but we hit our targets. Friend, Pharaoh built pyramids with terrified labor. Output is not proof of health. Longevity is. Reputation is. The market's memory is. You can squeeze numbers this quarter and lose your name next year. The righteous are like a tree planted by rivers of water that brings forth its fruit in season. Its leaf also shall not wither. Psalm 1-3. Healthy cultures have seasons, not seizures. They bend, they don't break. So here is the doctor's note. If you see the signs, fear-based performance, meetings after the meeting, guarded communication, title dependence, don't tweak the posters. Trace the pattern back to leadership beliefs. Ask brave questions. What do I believe about people, about trust, about failure, about control, then repent at the root. Replace the seed. Rediscover why you exist, so your convictions can be reborn, so your vision can invite, so your influence can breathe again. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue. Have dominion not over people, but over the toxins choking your garden. We will not medicate the symptoms. We will replant the soil. Write that down. And prepare your heart, because the next movement is to locate the seed, your purpose, the only authorized beginning of lasting culture change. We said, change the seed. Now hear me turn the sentence upside down. Write this down word for word. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, birthed by convictions, produced by a sense of purpose. That's the ladder. But if you want to climb it without breaking your neck, you don't start at the top, you start at the bottom. Turn it upside down. Begin with purpose. Purpose produces convictions. Convictions give birth to vision. Vision ignites passion. Passion generates inspiration. Inspiration creates influence. Influence is what we call leadership. Say it out loud. Start with purpose. Why does that matter to culture? Because culture is not a poster. Culture is the behavior of shared purpose. Culture is what a group consistently does because they agree on why they exist. When the why is cloudy, the how becomes chaotic. When the why is clear, the how becomes consistent without a policeman in every hallway. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Another rendering says, they run wild. That means without vision, there is no voluntary discipline. Listen, rules can restrain behavior briefly, but only vision can restrain the heart willingly. Write that down. Tell your neighbor, no vision, no voluntary discipline. Most of our attempts at culture change fail because we skip purpose and try to manage behavior. We write memos, we add cameras, we hire consultants to craft slogans. We introduce a no-jerk policy. We schedule yet another compliance training. Friend, you are trimming leaves while ignoring the root. You are putting a fence around a field where you never planted a seed. The world doesn't eat seeds. The world eats fruit. If you never plant purpose, you will never harvest culture. Say it last. In culture change begins at purpose, not at policy. Let me make this plain with a story. I was called to North Harbor Hospital. Great facility, new wing, fresh paint. Morale was on life support. Nurses were charting overtime. Patients complained of cold treatment, and departments fought like rival nations. The board chair pushed a thick binder at me. We have revised our values and improved our policies. I flipped through the pages and asked one question. Why do you exist? They looked at each other, then at me, then at the binder, and said, to deliver healthcare excellence. I said, that's a metric. Where is your mandate? What would you die to protect? We dug for 2 days. We interviewed janitors and surgeons, receptionists and radiologists. The seed appeared from a grandmother in housekeeping who said through tears, I come here every day because I remember when my husband died and no one touched my hand. We distilled the purpose. We exist to restore dignity to the sick. Everything shifted. Convictions followed. We will never allow a patient to feel invisible. Vision came next. A hospital where every hallway heals. Passion ignited. Teams volunteered to redesign waiting rooms. Doctors rounded with nurses to greet families by name. No memo could have achieved that. Purpose produced convictions. Convictions birthed vision. Vision motivated passion. Passion generated inspiration. Inspiration created influence. And leadership emerged at every level, from the grandmother in housekeeping to the chief of surgery. Are you hearing me? Write this down. Purpose is permission. It authorizes the kind of culture you are allowed to grow. If your purpose is to extract quarterly numbers, do not be surprised if opportunism becomes your culture. If your purpose is to solve a noble problem with excellence, you will attract and retain people who discipline themselves for that joy. Ephesians 2:10 says, we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. That means purpose pre-exists policy. Purpose defines the work. Policy simply protects the work. Now, Let me correct a common confusion. Sight and vision are not the same. Sight is the function of the eyes. Vision is a function of the heart. Sight reports what is. Vision reveals what ought to be. Sight is limited by facts. Vision is liberated by truth. Say it. Sight restricts. Vision releases. Again, sight restricts. Vision releases. We lead from vision, not from eyes. If you lead from your eyes, you will copy competitors. You will chase trends. You will panic at headlines. If you lead from vision, you will impose discipline on yourself and your house because you can see the end from the beginning. Write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it may run. Habakkuk 2:2. Run with what? With self-imposed restraint. Vision makes you say no to good so you can say yes to great. Vision cancels waste before finance ever draws a red line. Vision tells you, we don't gossip here because it delays healing. We don't hoard information here because it slows the mission. We don't humiliate errors here because learning is sacred to our purpose. Some of you are leaders by title but not by influence because you haven't clarified purpose. If you don't deploy yourself, you'll be employed by someone else. Let me upgrade that for organizations. If you don't define your purpose, your loudest personality will hijack your culture. The bully in the meeting becomes the unofficial purpose. The most profitable customer becomes the unofficial God. The latest crisis becomes your compass. Write this down. Absence of declared purpose creates presence of accidental masters. You can tell when purpose is missing. People ask, what are we allowed to do? Not, what are we here to accomplish? Teams ask for permission constantly because there is no true north. Budgets are guarded like secrets. Leaders spend more time catching mistakes than creating momentum. You are trying to manage behavior because you never inspired belief. But when purpose is clear, vision emerges and people begin to govern themselves. They come early, not because of surveillance, but because of significance. They police gossip in the hallway without HR present because it contaminates the mission. They use resources wisely because waste is now immoral, not just inefficient. Let me push you, turn the sentence upside down in your own house. Take a pen and draw the chain. At the bottom, write purpose, then convictions, then vision, then passion, then inspiration, then influence, then leadership. Put a circle around purpose. That is where we begin. That is step one of everything else we will build. And hear me, as a pastor to your enterprise, repent for trying to fix people you never inspired. Repent for demanding fruit from a tree you never planted. Repent for whipping a field you never seeded. Then plant. Ask the essential questions. Why do we exist beyond profit? What problem are we the answer to? Whose pain do we alleviate? What future do we intend to create? What will we refuse to do, even if it's legal and lucrative, because it violates who we are? Once you answer those, watch what happens. Convictions crystallize. You stop debating values and start defending them. Vision paints the picture clear enough for people to see themselves inside it. Passion rises, not as adrenaline, but as endurance. Inspiration flows because you become a living announcement of the future. Influence follows people imitate what compels them. Leadership is recognized, not demanded. And your culture, it becomes a river, not a puddle, consistent, moving, life-giving, guided by banks that you didn't have to build with barbed wire, but with belief. I declare over your house what the scripture already authorized. Where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. But where vision is written from purpose, the people run with holy restraint. They don't need a whip, they need a why. So write this last line. Bold, lasting culture change begins at purpose, not at policy. Say it, believe it, and prepare, because in the very next movement, we will locate that seed and make it plain. Before we drill into the soil, I must show you the farm. Write this down. A toxic culture is healed by a seed to dominion progression, not a memo. Say it again, so your mind stops reaching for shortcuts. A memo can announce, only a progression can transform. Genesis 1:28 is not just a verse for Sunday, it is a blueprint for Monday. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. That is the Creator's operating system for all productivity, personal, organizational, national. Now watch me map it to your house. Number one, purpose seed. This is step one. Locate the seed. Rediscover and clarify purpose. Why do you exist beyond profit? What problem are you the authorized solution for? Seed decides species. If you plant mango, you don't reap lemons. If you plant the seed of restored dignity to the sick, you cannot harvest a culture that humiliates errors. Write that down. Purpose is authorization. Without seed, you are managing weeds. Except a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die, it remains alone. John 12:24. Purpose must be sown, not stapled to a wall. Number two, convictions code. Step two, codify your beliefs into behaviors. If you say you value courage, what does that look like on Tuesday at 3:17 p.m.? What do you reward? What do you refuse? Convert values into verifiable practices with consequences you are not afraid to enforce. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Matthew 5:37. That's a code. Write this down. Culture shifts when convictions are visible, measurable, and consequential. No code, no culture, only confusion. Number three, vision picture. Step three, paint the future people can see themselves in. Write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it may run. Habakkuk 2:2. Vision is the picture on the puzzle box that helps us place the pieces without panic. It invites self-selection. People decide, that's my future, and they impose discipline on themselves. Say, this vision installs voluntary restraint. Sight says we can't, vision says we will. Draw the picture and make it unavoidable. Number four, inspirational modeling. Step four, leaders go first. Influence begins where embodiment starts. You cannot outsource example. If you preach candor but punish truth, your sermons are lies. If you preach dignity but mock in private, your culture learns mockery. Jesus washed feet before he went to the cross. That's modeling. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. 1 Corinthians 11:1. Write this down. Imitation is faster than instruction. Your life is a policy. Live it publicly. Number five, be fruitful. Step five, produce tangible cultural fruit rituals and artifacts that people can touch, taste, and repeat. The world doesn't eat seeds. The world eats fruit. If dignity is your purpose, institute a name and notice ritual where every patient, customer, or colleague is called by name and noticed for one unique detail. If truth is a value, design a weekly truth table where the hardest problem sits at the center and the safest voice speaks first. Artifacts are visible fruit. Onboarding letters written by peers. Open book scoreboards in the hallway. The 10-minute learning huddle after every project. Produce something. Write that down. Fruit proves the tree. Number six, multiply and replenish. Step six, train, distribute, normalize. Replication is love for the future. If your fruit is not reproducible by the newest hire within 30 days, it's not culture yet, it's a performance. Build playbooks, not secrets. Create peer mentors, not gatekeepers. Teach the why behind the what, so judgment travels farther than rules. And replenish attrition will take branches. Have a nursery ready. This is Genesis. Be fruitful, then multiply, then replenish. McDonald's didn't dominate by the best burger. They dominated by the best system. Write this down. Systems that replicate behaviors faster than turnover, erodes them, are your culture engine. Number seven, subdue and guard. Step seven, governance that protects the garden. Subdue means bring under order. Guard means keep out the foxes. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. Song of Solomon 2:15. Establish consequences and covenants that keep the right fruit alive. If gossip violates purpose, design a covenant of direct talk and a consequence for triangulation. If lateness steals from excellence, set time covenants and honor those who honor time. Prune quickly. Mercy is for the repentant. Pruning is for the resistant. Write this down. What you protect becomes your legacy. And the outcome? Dominion. Not domination over people, dominion over chaos, over mediocrity, over the market's confusion. Dominion is reputation. It is the market's memory of your consistency. It is when customers, candidates, and competitors think of you first for a specific goodness. What's your Whopper? Everybody sells burgers. Burger King sells the Whopper. Everybody staffs teams. You will be known for a culture that heals, a culture that ships truth on time, a culture that turns mistakes into mastery. You were born to master something. Be the first name we think of for honor, for speed with soul, for excellence without cruelty. Let me give you a quick picture of this progression in motion. A mid-sized company, Rivertown Foods, was bleeding talent. Fear on the floor, smiles in the lobby. We located the seed. We exist to nourish communities with honest food. Convictions code. No hidden ingredients. No hidden agendas. Transparency in product and in meetings. Vision picture. A brand where every table tastes trust. Leaders went first. The CEO published her own mistakes in a monthly What I'm Learning letter. Fruit appeared. A harvest huddle. Every Friday, where a frontline worker demoed a customer story, an open ingredient wall listing not just flavors, but decisions why we said no to a cheaper supplier. Multiply and replenish. Every new hire shadowed a trust champion for 30 days. Playbooks captured rituals. Cross-training counseled silos. Subduing God. A covenant against triangle talk. A consequence ladder for breaches. Pruning of 2 persistently toxic managers who refused to align. Within 9 months, Glassdoor turned. Applicants quoted the ingredient wall. Retailers introduced them as the trust brand. That's dominion. The market remembered their fruit. Now hear the promise arc. Each step displaces fear with ownership, purpose. Seed replaces anxiety with meaning. We're not guessing, we're assigned. Convictions. Code replaces favoritism with fairness. Everyone knows the rules of honor. Vision picture replaces drift with direction. No more thrashing, we can run. Inspirational modeling replaces suspicion with trust. What you see is what we say. Be fruitful replaces cynicism with evidence. Rituals we can taste and repeat. Multiply and replenish replaces fragility with resilience. Culture outlasts turnover. Subduing God replaces inconsistency with integrity. The garden is safe. The right fruit survives. Write that down. This is how fear loses oxygen. We are going to move from seed to system until the market recognizes your culture first. Say it. Seed to system to dominion. Be fruitful. Multiply. Replenish. Subdue. Have dominion. This is not theory. This is law. In the next movements, we will unpack each step like a craftsman sharpening tools. Get your pen ready. Open your heart. Because when your purpose becomes a seed in the soil of disciplined steps, your house will not need a whip, only a why, and your name will travel farther than your marketing budget ever could. Step 1, locate the seed. Hear me. Purpose is the seed that determines what kind of culture you are authorized to grow. You cannot plant confusion and harvest clarity. You cannot plant ego and reap honor. Seed decides species, and purpose decides practices. Write that down. Proverbs 20:5 says, the purpose of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. We are going to draw it out now. Not from a consultant slide, but from the deep waters of why you exist. Why do you exist beyond making money? That is the first shovel in the soil. Money is a reward. It is not a reason. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added. Matthew 6:33. Addition is a byproduct. In business language, money follows value, value follows purpose. Say it. Money follows value, value follows purpose. If you chase money, you will manipulate people. If you pursue purpose, you will multiply value, and money will look for you. Write that down. Every problem is a business, and every business is a culture built to solve a problem in a particular spirit. What problem do you exist to solve? And how will your house solve it differently because of who you are? That's identity alignment. Hospitals don't just dispense medication. They can restore dignity to the sick. Banks don't just move digits, they can build trust for generational stewardship. Software firms don't just code features, they can simplify burdens until the quiet become brilliant. Schools don't just pass tests, they can unlock destiny in children who doubt themselves. What is your unique problem, and what is the promise you are making to the world? Purpose is both problem and promise. Write that down. Let me take you into a room where we dug for seed. The company was North Dock Logistics, forklifts, pallets, schedules. They told me their purpose was operational excellence for stakeholders. I said, that's a spreadsheet looking for a soul. We walked the warehouse at 5 a.m. A shift lead named Tony picked up a bent photo of his daughter from a locker and whispered, I work nights so she can wake up to breakfast. There it was, the scent of seed. We kept probing. A customer said, if my medicines arrive late, lives are on the line. The purpose emerged. We exist to move what matters on time, every time, with care for the hands and the lives in the chain. Do you feel the difference? Culture, authorization came instantly. You cannot mock people or play with time in a house whose seed is what matters on time, every time. Lateness became immoral, not just inefficient. Safety became sacred liturgy, not just compliance. That is the power of seed. Now, practical. Your purpose must pass the hallway test. If it can't be said between the elevator and the desk without a breath, it is not yet a seed, it's a sermon trying to be a sentence. Write this down. Short, sticky, service-oriented. Here's a simple formula. Who we serve, plus what pain we solve, plus what promise we deliver. 12 words or less. Examples that your people can say without a meeting. We restore dignity to the sick. We make truth easy to ship. We design calm into chaos. We build trust for families' money. We turn mistakes into mastery. We give small shops a big voice. Notice the verbs. Restore, make, design, build, turn, give, service, verbs, not optimize, not maximize, not leverage. Serve with words, then serve with work. Tell your neighbor, keep it small so it can grow big. Now I want you to do it. Leaders, grab 3 voices, not on your org chart. Someone from the front desk, the back dock, and the break room. Ask them 4 questions and write their words, not your ego. 1, whose pain do we feel most? 2, what do they thank us for when we get it right? 3, what do we refuse to do, even if it pays? What future would make us proud to retire? From those answers, draft your sentence. Sleep on it. Pray over it. Test it with new hires. If they can remember it by lunch and act on it by Friday, that's seed. If you need a poster to remind the house, it's still a slogan. Scripture gives us the pattern. Ephesians 2:10. We are his workmanship, created to do good works which God prepared beforehand. Prepared beforehand means there's a work designed for your name, a problem with your address on it. When God demands something from you, it exists. Your seed is the idea that won't leave you alone, the injustice that keeps you awake, the joy that energizes you when others are weary. Write this down. Purpose is discovered where holy irritation meets holy imagination. If arrogance is driving you, it's not seed, it's weed. Let me warn you with love. If you don't deploy your purpose, you'll employ policies to police people. Say it. If you don't deploy your purpose, you'll employ policies to police people. Purpose installs voluntary restraint. Absence of purpose requires external restraint. Without seed, HR becomes your gardener, and the law replaces love. You start stacking handbooks to do what one sentence could have done. Inspire self-governance. Proverbs 29:18 reminds us, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Translate that for your enterprise. Where purpose isn't plain, chaos gets permission. Some of you will ask, but what if our industry is boring? Friend, there are no boring purposes, only buried ones. Remember, Hog Island became Paradise Island because someone saw hospitality where others saw rock. Every problem is a business. Find the dignity inside yours. A waste management company I advised refused the label trash. Their sentence became, we return neighborhoods to pride before dinner. Crews started taking photos of swept sidewalks and repaired bin lids. Citizens wrote thank yous. Turnover fell. That seed commanding fruit. And hear this pastoral charge. Once your sentence is clear, preach it until your walls can recite it. Open every meeting with it. Hire to it. Fire against it. Budget through it. Measure with it. You are authorizing a species of behavior. You are saying to your culture, we grow oaks here, not cactus. We produce shade, not spikes. Purpose is permission and prohibition at the same time. It tells you what to multiply and what to refuse. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Matthew 5:37. Purpose gives you a righteous yes and a fearless no. I declare over your house, the seed is in you. The deep water will be drawn. The sentence will be found. And once planted, it will demand a culture consistent with its DNA. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, have dominion. But first, locate the seed, write the sentence, put it in the hallway, put it in the heart. Because the world doesn't eat seeds, but the world will taste your fruit and remember your name. Step 2, codify convictions. We found the seed, now we must build the spine. Purpose without convictions is a seed without a root. One gust of wind and it's gone. Write this down. Convictions are the non-negotiable beliefs you are willing to pay for. Pay in time, pay in budget, pay in promotions, pay in personal comfort. Daniel 1-8 says, Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. That's conviction, willing to pay the price of favor with kings to keep favor with God. James 2:18 pushes us further. Show me your faith without works, and I will show you my faith by my works. Belief without behavior is a rumor. Convictions convert belief into behavior. Say it. Belief becomes believable when it behaves. Now listen, as a pastor to your enterprise, many of you have values written on the wall that you abandoned in the hallway. You framed them. You didn't fund them. You quoted them. You didn't calendar them. Write this down. Values that don't cost you anything won't change anybody. If respect never costs you a high performer who humiliates others, it's not a value, it's a varnish. If excellence never costs you a late launch because the standard wasn't met, it's not a conviction, it's marketing. Convictions have receipts. Show me your calendar, your budget, your promotion list, your terminations. I will tell you your real convictions. So how do we convert convictions into culture? We translate every belief into 5-7 observable actions. Observable means a stranger with a camera could capture it. Measurable means we can count its presence or absence. Consequential means there is a predictable reward for alignment and a predictable response for violation. Write this down. Culture shifts when convictions become visible, measurable, and consequential. Don't tell me you value courage. Show me where courage sits on the agenda. Don't tell me you value truth. Show me where truth is safe on Tuesday at 3:17 p.m. Let's go back to North Harbor Hospital where the seed was. We restored dignity to the sick. That belief became convictions. 1, no person in our care will feel invisible. 2, safety is sacred. 3, learning is honored over blame. Now watch the translation. For no one is invisible. The team wrote 7 behaviors. Greet every patient by name within 30 seconds. Make eye contact at every doorway. Introduce your role on first touch. Ask 1 human question before 1 clinical question. Update family every 4 hours. Chart at the bedside, not at the station, whenever possible. End every interaction with is there one more thing? For safety is sacred. They codified. Starter shift safety huddle. 2-person verification for all high-risk meds. Speak up rule, enforced by the newest voice first. No phone conversations during medication passes. Incident debrief within 24 hours focused on learning, not blame. For learning is honored, they wrote. Weekly. Mistake to mastery rounds. Leaderboard for improvements suggested and adopted. Promotion points for teaching others a new protocol. Ban on anonymous complaints. Bring issues to the truth table. Do you feel the difference? You can see it. You can count it. You can pay for it. It moves from the wall into the ward. Jesus said, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:20. Fruit is behavior. The world doesn't eat seeds. The world eats fruit. Produce something. Design, consequence, symmetry next. Say this. What you celebrate, you accelerate. What you tolerate, you duplicate. If you applaud a quiet nurse who caught a near miss aloud, and you connect that celebration to tangible rewards, bonus points, prime shift selection, formal recognition, at the harvest huddle, you accelerate vigilance. If you tolerate the star surgeon who slams a nurse on rounds, your house learns that cruelty outranks dignity. That duplicity will multiply faster than your posters can catch it. Symmetry means the reward must fit the righteousness and the response must fit the violation. Write this down. Mercy is for the repentant. Pruning is for the resistant. When the surgeon repents and submits to coaching, restore gently. Galatians 6:1. When the surgeon mocks the covenant twice more, prune quickly. What you protect becomes your legacy. Let me show you this in a business that isn't clinical. Rivertown Foods, remember them? We nourish communities with honest food. They wrote 3 convictions: transparency, stewardship, and neighborliness. Then they wrote behaviors. Transparency became publish ingredient sources on the ingredient wall. Hold a monthly open Q&A with the CEO called Ask Me Anything Honest. Price change memos that list the reason and the alternative we refuse. Stewardship became weekly waste audit posted in the break room. Every project must show a value of waste avoided line. Team bonus tied to reduction in rework minutes. Neighborliness became 2 paid hours per month for each employee to serve at a local pantry. A first name first policy with retail partners. Dispute resolution begins with a face-to-face before an email thread. And then came consequence symmetry. Employees who hit stewardship and transparency, targets first in their unit, choose next month's product to sample. Suppliers who breach transparency got a public red flag on the ingredient wall until remediation. A repeat breach ended the relationship, yes. Even when the price was sweet, they paid for conviction. Within 6 months, shoppers came saying, I saw your red flag, I trust you more because you told the truth. Dominion is reputation, the market's memory of your consistency. Now ritualize accountability. Peer witness beats top-down policing. Iron sharpens iron, Proverbs 27:17. Design daily and weekly moments where values become visible and verified by the community. Install a 2-minute covenant check at the start of every stand-up. We read one conviction out loud, and each person reports a quick example or a miss. Not to shame, but to normalize proof. Build a weekly truth table retro where the lowest title speaks first and the highest last. Protect the voices with less power. Post a simple value scoreboard in the hallway with 3 columns. This week's wins by conviction. This week's misses. This week's adjustments. Don't hide the misses. Hiding breaks trust. Light heals. Create peer recognition tokens that can only be given for codified behaviors, not for likability. When tokens equal a threshold, attach a real reward, training, budget, schedule, choice, a micro bonus. Remember, values that don't cost you anything won't change anybody. Your calendar is your catechism. If the covenant check gets bumped for a status update, your house learns that status outranks conviction. If the mistake to mastery rounds get canceled in a crisis, your house learns that fear outranks learning. Habakkuk 2:2 said, make it plain so he who reads can run. Rituals are the plainness that make running possible. They install voluntary restraint because the expectation is embodied, rehearsed, and remembered. Let me give you a field manual to start this week. Gather your core team with 3 frontline voices. Choose 3 to 5 convictions that directly flow from your purpose sentence. For each conviction, write 5 to 7 behaviors using verbs a child can understand. Test them with a new hire. Can they act on 2 of them before Friday? If not, simplify until they can. Then assign rewards and responses before you announce them. Tie at least 1 budget line and 1 calendar slot to each conviction. Who will be promoted for this? What will be forgiven when this is practiced? What will be stopped when this is violated twice? Put it in writing. Sign it like a covenant. Read it out loud. Then start the rituals 2 minutes daily, 30 minutes weekly. Let peers carry the enforcement, and let leaders carry the visibility by going first. I must correct a fatal temptation. Do not outsource courage to HR. HR can draft the document. Only leaders can embody the document. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. Your people will follow your budget and your behavior, not your brochure. If you preach transparency but hide your own decisions, the house will learn secrecy. If you preach dignity but laugh at a put down in the meeting, the house will learn contempt. Influence begins where embodiment starts. I want you to say this with me. Our beliefs will behave. Again, our beliefs will behave. Convictions are costly by design because they purchase trust. And trust is the soil where speed can grow without breaking things that matter. When your house can see, count, and feel the cost and the reward of conviction, fear begins to die. People stop guessing where the lines are. Politics loses oxygen. Courage becomes ordinary. This is how the seed takes root and begins to push a shoot above the ground. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish. Subdue, have dominion. But you cannot multiply what you have not codified. So write it, weigh it, and walk it. Culture is coming into order because in your house, belief now has a body. Now we move to step 3, paint the vision. Hear me. Sight reports what is, vision reveals what must be. Write that down. Sight is a journalist. Vision is a governor. Sight takes attendance. Vision takes authority. And the greatest enemy of your vision is your eyes, because your eyes are loyal to the present. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Translate that to your enterprise. Where there is no picture, people live by impulse. But when the vision is plain, restraint becomes voluntary. People begin to govern themselves toward the picture without a policeman in the hallway. Say this with me. Vision installs voluntary restraint. Vision is the picture on the puzzle box that stops panic while we sort the pieces. Habakkuk 2:2 commands, write the vision, make it plain, so that he who reads it may run. Plain means paint it so clear a new hire can run with it by Friday. Not fog, not MBA smoke. Paint. Give me metaphors. Give me scenes. Give me a Tuesday at 3:17 p.m. We can recognize from 10 feet away. If your vision statement can double as an airline safety card, that's not vision, that's varnish. Write this down. Vision must be seeable, sayable, and shareable. If they can't see it, they won't say it. If they won't say it, they can't share it. If they can't share it, it will never scale. Let me show you how this lives. At Nordock Logistics, once the seed was we move what matters on time, every time, with care for the hands and the lives in the chain, we painted the picture. Before, forklifts racing, radios barking, late arrivals with apologies nobody believed, safety posters curling on the wall. After the quiet dark, rule during load checks, so judgment replaces noise. The hand-to-heart salute at shift start, where every driver names the most critical delivery by first name Mrs. Alvarez's insulin, on time, every time. The green wave, lights that only flash when stations are ready to receive, eliminating chaos. A clock on the wall labeled lives on the line. That's vision you can point at. The world doesn't eat seeds, the world eats fruit. Produce pictures. Now build a culture narrative everyone can retell. 3 beats. The pain we were born to heal, the promise we are becoming, and the proof that shows up every day. Give it a name so the house can chant it. From scramble to symphony. From hidden to honest. From fear to mastery. Tell your neighbor, name your exodus. Then write 2 signature stories you will recite until the interns can tell them better than you. Story 1. A before and after moment from the front line where the new picture showed up. Story 2. A customer's words that proved the picture left the building and entered the market's memory. Joseph's brothers mocked his dream because they saw rags. God saw rulership. Genesis 37. People will call you crazy until the market starts quoting your postcard. Here is your exercise. Write the 10-year culture postcard. Not a spreadsheet, a postcard. Dated a decade from today and send it backward to a friend who is thinking about joining your house. Begin with, wish you were here. Then describe how it feels to work here when we're at Dominion. Use senses. It sounds like meetings starting on the minute with clear, kind candor. It smells like fresh coffee at the truth table, gathered around the hardest problem. It looks like the open ledger screens in the hallway where numbers are taught, not hidden. It feels like new hires being asked to lead the safety huddle by week 2. It tastes like small victories celebrated at Friday's harvest huddle. Tell them what you no longer see. No whisper networks, no calendar politics, no heroics to compensate for broken systems. Tell them what the market now remembers us for. The on-time company, the trust brand, the school where kids find their voice, the clinic where dignity is standard, equipment. And write 2 reputational receipts. The Glassdoor headline you want, the customer testimonial you want framed in the lobby. Make it 250 words, present tense, and read it out loud until you all can see it. Write that down, paint the feeling, not just the finish line. Rivertown Foods did this. Their decade postcard said, wish you were here on the floor where the ingredient wall is, the tourist stop, where shoppers teach their children how to read labels, because we taught them first. Our Friday harvest huddle still ends with a grandmother's recipe tested live. New hires lead the why we said no story of the week. Suppliers go home bragging about passing our transparency audit because it raises their game. The city calls us the honest pantry. When mistakes happen, we run the one more truth drill within a day. Everybody learns, nobody hides. Our alumni wear Rivertown on their resumes like a badge. They taught me to tell the truth on time, come soon. That wasn't poetry, it became policy. 10 years shrank because the postcard pulled them like a magnet. That is voluntary restraint. People self-select into better behavior because the picture is compelling. Vision also prunes faster than rules. When you show the house the future in color, misfits opt out without you firing a shot. The cynical realize they won't like a workplace where the lowest voice speaks first at the truth table. The crew recognize there's no climate for their winter. That's good. Write this down. Clarity is kindness. Fuzziness is cruelty. Vision removes the fog that hides dysfunction. And for those who remain, vision puts steel in the spine. They carry themselves as citizens of a future already photographed. This is what Hebrews 11 calls faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Sight says we are small. Vision says we are necessary. Say it. I see beyond my eyes. Now a practical path. Translate your postcard into 5 lenses the whole house can carry. Language. 3 phrases we will repeat until they become atmosphere. Example, on time, every time, name and notice, one more truth, scenes. 3 signature moments everyone experiences weekly. Example, the 2-minute covenant check, the new hire first voice, the mistake to mastery circle. Symbols, 3 artifacts people can touch. Example, the ingredient wall, the open ledger, the green wave lights. Standards, 3 Tuesday at 3:17 behaviors that prove we're in the picture. Example, eyes up at every doorway, phone down during meds, agenda with courage at the top. Stories, 3 testimonies we will collect and rehearse. Example, a customer moved to tears by honesty. A supplier transformed by our audit. A teammate promoted because they taught others the code. Keep it simple. Keep it retellable. If a child can draw it, adults will remember it. And remember, this step sets up the next. Because pictures without people are posters. Somebody must wear the vision like clothing. Jesus didn't just say, blessed are the meek. He washed feet to show meekness with a towel. Paul didn't just write epistles. He said, follow me as I follow Christ. The next step requires leaders to go first. Your life is a policy. Your calendar is a catechism. Your budget is a gospel. But for now, paint so clearly that your culture can choose. A clear, compelling vision invites people to self-select into better behavior. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, have dominion. Vision is the bridge between your convictions and your multiplication. Write it plain. Read it aloud. Pin it on the wall and sew it into the heart. The world doesn't eat seeds. The world eats fruit. But fruit comes from a tree that grew toward a picture of the sun. Lift your eyes. Stop trusting them. See with your heart. And prepare to model what you've seen. Step 4. Leaders go first. We have the picture on the wall. Now someone must wear it like a uniform. Hear me. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, not manipulation, generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, birthed by a conviction, produced by a sense of purpose. But influence begins the day you embody the sentence. Write that down. Jesus took off his outer garment, picked up a towel, and washed feet, then said, I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. John 13:15. That's modeling before mandating. Paul added, follow me as I follow Christ. 1 Corinthians 11:1. Peter said, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. 1 Peter 5:3. Say it. Examples create ecosystems. People do what leaders do, not what leaders say. Luke 6:40 declares, everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. Like, not just taught by, like. At North Dock Logistics, we replaced the bark with a model. The general manager, Carla, arrived early the Monday after the postcard was read. No email, no speech. She walked the dock in full PPE. Did the quiet dock load check herself, and at the shift huddle, she led the hand to heart by naming Mrs. Alvarez's insulin out loud. Then she did something costly. She returned her quarterly bonus because an on-time delivery metric slipped under her watch. She stapled the check void to the bulletin board with a note. Our purpose is what matters. On time. Every time. I'm accountable first. That artifact preached louder than any memo. Within 2 weeks, near-miss reports doubled. Not because fear rose, but because trust did. Write this down. First fruits come from first movers. Story and symbol must conspire to prove sincerity. Leaders, put your towel on the table. At Rivertown Foods, the CEO moved out of the corner office into a common desk by the ingredient wall. He mounted a basin and towel in the boardroom, literal, not metaphorical, to remind executives that their strategy begins with service. He renamed the first 4 executive parking spots, Mothers and Midnights, reserved for expecting mothers and the night shift coming off fatigue. Small? It was a sermon you could park in. Turnover in the warehouse fell 18% in a quarter because people stopped feeling invisible. Testimony followed. A driver wrote, I've worked 20 years. I never saw a boss give me his spot. I can give you my best. That's dominion through dignity. The market's memory starts at home. Design for dignity next. Replace fear metrics with growth metrics. Fear says, if you mess up, you die. Faith says, if you mess up, we learn. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1-7. Galatians 6-1 tells us, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently. Gentle is not weak, it is accurate strength. In the hospital where our seed was, restore dignity. We retired the red error board that named violators and installed a learned events dashboard. How many near misses reported? How many coaching sessions completed? How many protocols improved? How much harm prevented? Leaders went first by logging their own misses and coaching receipts. The first month, a chief nurse stood at the truth table and said, I violated the phone down during med standard yesterday. Here's what I learned. Here's my new guardrail. The house gasped, then relaxed. After that, reporting rose 63% and preventable harm declined. Write this down, coach, before you correct. Restore before you remove. Prune only when resistance marks redemption. Language is a steering wheel. Reset it now. Proverbs 12:18 says, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Stop saying, if I catch you, I don't pay you to think, or else because I said so. Those phrases betray manipulation. Replace them with invitation and instruction. Join me in. Here's why this matters to Mrs. Alvarez, teach me what you see from the floor. What did we learn and how will we prove it Tuesday at 3:17? In your next difficult conversation, lead with ownership, not outrage. I own the outcome. Here's my gap. Help me close ours. And leaders, rehearse this in private until your mouth obeys your mission. Your tongue is a thermostat. It sets the climate your people must breathe. Say it. Inspiration scales trust. Intimidation scales turnover. Again, inspiration scales trust. Intimidation scales turnover. One more time so your mouth remembers. Inspiration scales trust. Intimidation scales turnover. Let me give you a 7-day go first plan you can begin tonight. Day 1, put your purpose sentence at the top of your calendar and move 30 minutes from status to the covenant. Check announce the swap and show the invite list. Day 2, practice one codified behavior publicly. If eyes up at every doorway is the standard, you model it and call yourself out when you miss. Day 3, bring a testimony and a receipt, what you personally sacrificed for the value last week. Show a budget line you redirected from swag to coaching. Day 4, install an artifact, a towel and basin in the exec room, a green wave light where chaos ruled, an open ledger screen in the hallway. Day 5, conduct a language audit. Ask your team to catch you replacing one threat phrase with one invitation phrase. Pay a coffee for every catch. Day 6, coach, before you correct, choose a miss. Sit with the person, ask, what did we learn? Then co-write a 2-hour improvement plan and celebrate first steps. Day 7, go last at the truth table. Let the newest voice speak first. Then you close with confession and commitment. Write that down. Leaders go first, then they go last, so others grow in between. This is not theater. It is theology expressed as leadership. Jesus did not shout the disciples into greatness. He showed them the road and walked it. When leaders embody, the house imitates. Habakkuk said, make it plain, so he who reads may run. Embodiment makes it plain, so he who watches may run. Be fruitful. Produce visible first fruits in your own life. Multiply. Your example will become a template. Replenish installed systems so your example travels farther than your presence. Subdue. Your consistent model will confront toxins without a fight, because darkness flees where light stands. Dominion. Your reputation becomes, they are who they say they are. We are moving now from picture to practice. In the next step, we will harvest fruit, concrete, repeatable, cultural produce. People can taste and repeat. But hear the pastoral charge before we go. Your life is the policy. Your calendar is the catechism. Your budget is the gospel. Say it. Our people will be like us. Therefore, be worth becoming. And may the towel in your hand become the scepter in your industry. Because the world doesn't eat seeds, the world eats fruit, and the first fruit must be you. Step 5, be fruitful. Hear me as your pastor and your strategist. The world doesn't eat seeds, the world eats fruit. Write that down. Fruit is not a feeling, fruit is a product. Fruit is what your culture makes that people can taste, touch, repeat, and share without you in the room. Jesus said, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:20. John 15:8 adds, by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. Proof is fruit. And the first command of the divine blueprint is be fruitful, then multiply. Genesis 1:28. Order matters no fruit, no multiplication. You cannot scale fog. You cannot replicate rumors. You reproduce what you produce. So what is fruit in a culture? Write this down. Fruit equals products of culture, rituals, artifacts, language, meaning formats, onboarding experiences, and the tools that carry them, playbooks, scorecards, and ceremonies. Rituals are repeated actions at predictable times that carry your convictions. Artifacts are tangible objects that preach without a mouth. Language is a set of phrases that set the atmosphere. Meeting formats are the choreography where courage gets on the agenda. Onboarding is the first liturgy new citizens learn. Tools are the edible forms 1-pages, checklists, templates that make the fruit portable. Say it, make it edible. Let me fill your basket. At No Dark Logistics, Quiet Dark is a ritual, 5 minutes of silence during load check so judgment replaces noise. The Hand to Heart is a ceremony naming misses. Alvarez's insulin at the start of shift to anchor purpose. The green wave light is an artifact. When it glows, you move. When it's read, you wait. The 2-minute covenant check is a meeting format. Read one conviction, share one proof or one miss. The new hire first voice is onboarding a day one moment where the newest person names what they see and we bless courage. And the on time, every time playbook is a consumable tool, a one-page diagram of the 4 moves we execute to keep promises with a scorecard on the back that any team can complete in 6 minutes. That's fruit you can taste by Tuesday. Rivertown Foods harvested their own fruit. The ingredient wall is an artifact you can photograph. The Ask Me Anything Honest is a ceremony that happens on the first Thursday of every month at noon. Predictable, not performative. Their Why We Said No script is a tool, a template leaders use to explain a supplier they rejected and the principle it protected. Their Mistake to Mastery circle is a meeting format, 30 minutes. Lowest title speaks first. 3 questions only. What happened? What did we learn? What will we prove by Friday at 3:17 p.m.? Their onboarding passage is a 3-stop tour. Ingredient wall, open ledger, customer letters, new hires, recite a line at each stop. That's called culture catechism. Are you hearing me? Now, here's how you move from ideas to edible fruit. Write this down, the fruit spec. Name, purpose, time, and trigger. Roles, script, artifact, score, testimony. Name, it must be memorable, quiet, dark, not noise reduction protocol. 7.3. Purpose, a 1-sentence why, tied to your purpose seed. Time and trigger. Exactly when and what starts it. For example, every shift at 6:55 a.m. when the bell rings. Roles, who leads, who speaks first, who records, script, short phrases, anyone can follow. Don't rely on charisma. Artifact, what object makes it visible? A card, a light, a towel, a wall. Score, how we count fidelity and impact in under 5 minutes. Testimony, where we capture one story a week that proves it works. If your fruit cannot pass the spec, it's not a fruit yet. It's still a seed. The world doesn't eat seeds. Produce something. Prototype, then share. Don't try to bake a whole orchard in one oven. Pilot one ritual per team for 2 weeks. Choose the one with the highest purpose, impact, and the lowest complexity. Execute daily. After each run, do a 5-minute taste test rate on a 0-10 scale. Was it clear? Was it energizing? Did it produce the behavior? Collect one testimony and one tweak. At the end of week 1, refine the script and the artifact. At the end of week 2, print the 1-page playbook and the pocket card. Then share it. Give it away to a neighboring team or sister site for free. Luke 6:38 says, give, and it shall be given unto you. Proverbs 11:24 declares, there is one who scatters, yet increases more. Generosity is a growth strategy. Early fruit given freely creates appetite, adoption, and allegiance. People trust what blessed them at no cost. They will pay to go deeper later. Write that down. Gift the first fruit. Sell the orchard. Let me testify. At North Dock, the 5-minute precision pass became their most powerful fruit. Every handoff between stations follows a 3-line script, a finger point verification, and a green stamp seal placed on the bill of lading. They wrote the spec, ran it 7 days, gathered taste tests, then printed a 1-page with pictures. They emailed the PDF to 2 skeptical suppliers saying, steal this, make it yours. One supplier copied it, cut their misloads by 40%, and wrote a thank you letter. 3 months later, that supplier canceled 2 bids with competitors and funneled the volume to North Dock because, in their words, you didn't just move pallets, you moved our standard. That's Dominion's first whisper reputation born from fruit. Rivertown did the same. They posted their ingredient wall template and the Why We Said No script on their website free. A rival market copied it. And guess what? The whole town started expecting labels they could read. Did Rivertown lose? No. The market's memory baptized them as the pioneers of honesty. Shoppers drove past 2 stores to stand under the wall that preached the truth first. Be fruitful, then multiply. Multiplication is effortless when the fruit is desirable. Now, build your fruit kit. Aim for 5 to 7 fruits in this first season. One daily ritual that takes 2 minutes or less. Covenant check. One weekly ceremony that celebrates learning, not perfection. Mistake to mastery. One signature artifact that acts as a non-verbal sermon. Towel and basin. Ingredient wall. Open ledger. One meeting format that puts courage first. Agenda with one more truth at the top. One onboarding experience that inducts citizens to the kingdom. New hire, first voice walk. One language card with 3 phrases and their meaning. On time, every time. Name and notice. Coach before you correct. One scorecard that makes the invisible countable. 3 metrics tied to your convictions, visible in the hallway. Keep each fruit consumable. If it takes a PhD to run it, it's not a fruit, it's fertilizer. If a new hire can lead it on day 5, you are close to dominion. Say it. Make it simple. Make it sacred. Make it sticky. Here's your 3-0-day fruit sprint. Week 1. Choose 3 candidate fruits and write the spec for each. Create ugly first drafts, paper signs, index cards, a borrowed bell. Baseline your current behavior with 2 numbers you can collect in 15 minutes. Week 2. Pilot 1 fruit per team per day. Do the daily taste test. Capture 1 story per team per week. Week 3. Refine scripts. Beautify the artifact. Print the 1-page playbook and install a micro scoreboard next to the action. Week 4. Share your fruit host. A 15-minute open harvest on Friday. Invite another department and a supplier to watch and take the kid home. Announce the date your fruit becomes standard. Multiply it next month. That order is holy. Be fruitful. Then multiply. Measure edibility, not ego. Your edibility test is 4-fold. Can a stranger recognize it from 10 feet? Can a new hire lead it without you by day 5? Can we run it in 7 minutes or less? Can we show 1 outcome that changed because of it? If you can't answer yes to 3 of the 4, keep it in the kitchen. Don't serve it yet. Excellence is stewardship. Sloppiness is theft. I must correct a temptation. Do not confuse events with fruit. A one-time town hall is not a fruit. A monthly Ask Me Anything Honest is. A motivational speech is not a fruit. A laminated language card used in every meeting is. Fruit is repeatable by design. Fruit travels through systems. Fruit carries seed inside of it. Each ritual contains the reason and the recipe. So when someone tastes it, they can plant it elsewhere. That's why Genesis places seed within fruit. God hid sustainability in edibility. Your culture's sustainability hides in your fruit's repeatability. Write that down. Now lift your hands in your spirit and say it. I will produce fruit. Again, I will produce fruit. Father, according to John 15, prune what is show and leave what is substance, so these houses bear much fruit. Let rituals replace rants. Let artifacts preach when leaders sleep. Let language steer hearts. Let meetings make courage mundane. Let onboarding baptize citizens into dignity. Be fruitful. Then multiply. Then replenish through distribution. Then subdue through guardrails. Then have dominion through reputation, the market's memory of your fruit. Produce something by Friday. Bring it to the harvest huddle. Because the world doesn't eat seeds, the world eats fruit, and your future is hungry. Step 6, multiply and replenish. Hear me. Order is holy. Be fruitful, then multiply, then replenish. Genesis 1:28. We have fruit in our hands. Now we must train hands to carry it, distribute it through the house, and normalize it until it becomes reflex. Write this down. Culture scales through systems that replicate behaviors faster than turnover erodes them. Say it with me. Replicate faster than erosion. Again, replicate faster than erosion. The apostle gave us the template in 2 Timothy 2:2. The things you have heard me say, entrust to faithful people who will be able to teach others also. That's 4 generations in 1 verse, Paul to Timothy, to faithful ones to others. That's a train-the-trainer path. So we build 1, level 1 apprentice, can run the fruit with the script and a coach present. Level 2, carrier, can run it solo and gather a testimony. Level 3, coach, can teach 2 others to carry a level within 30 days. Level 4, certifier, can assess fidelity, issue a credential, and prune drift. Write that down. ACCC. Apprentice, carrier, coach, certifier. And leaders, choose ambassadors by fruit, not volume. Don't pick the loudest voice, pick the most faithful doer. Acts 6 says, choose men of good reputation, full of the Spirit and wisdom. Reputation first, what do they actually do? That's your culture ambassador cohort. Now pair them. Jesus sent them 2 by 2, Luke 10:1. Build Barnabas pairs one seasoned carrier, walks with one apprentice for 2 weeks, then flips apprentice, runs the ritual while the carrier takes notes. They complete a 1-page fidelity card. Did we run the script? Did the artifact preach? Did we get a testimony? What's the tweak by Friday at 3:17? Simple, consistent, accountable. By week 3, that apprentice should step into coach. If they don't, coach them. If they won't, release them from the path. Write this down. Replenish with the willing. Don't waste the willing on the unwilling. Distribution channels must carry the fruit house-wide. Deuteronomy 6-7 says, teach them diligently to your children. When you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. That's channels: sitting, walking, lying, rising. In your house, it's onboarding, weekly huddles, performance reviews, and internal media. Onboarding, make day one a baptism, not a brochure. Every new hire must see, speak, and run at least one fruit before lunch. Read the covenant card. Walk to the artifact, the ingredient wall, the green wave. Run a 2-minute ritual and record a testimony. End day one with a culture quiz. 5 questions, not for punishment, but for pride. When they pass, give them the pocket card and enroll them as apprentices in the next 4-day Barnabas pair. Weekly huddles install fruit of the week. One ritual gets spotlighted across the house. Every team runs it, scores it, and shares 160, second testimony on Friday. Post the scores on the hallway screen. Performance reviews embed culture into compensation. Don't pay for numbers that betray convictions. Split the review into 2 ledgers: outcomes and observance. Outcomes are what we did. Observance is how we did it, aligned with convictions. Weight them 50/50 and require 2 culture receipts times they ran or coached the fruit. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. Reviews are training, not trials. Internal media create a channel where culture travels without you. A 9-0 second open harvest video every Thursday. One team runs the ritual on camera, names the purpose, shows the artifact, reads the score, and tells the fruit story. Post QR codes at the artifact so a newcomer can scan and watch the how-to in under 2 minutes. Normalize it in the calendar and the budget. If it's not on a calendar, it's not in a culture. If there's no budget line, it's just a hobby. Put the fruit of the week on the master calendar for 12 months. Fund printing of cards, maintenance of artifacts, and 2 hours per ambassador per week to coach. Tie vendor contracts to your fruits. Require suppliers who enter your floor to learn quiet dock in 3 minutes before they touch a pallet. That's distribution by covenant. Microsoft did this with updates. Write this down. Rings. They don't drop a change on the whole planet at once. They release to insiders, then pilot rings, then broad distribution. Learn from it. Your fruit rolls out in rings. Ambassadors first, then 2 pilot teams, then the house, then partners. With each ring, capture feedback, refine, and certify. McDonald's did this with fries and Big Macs. Hamburger University standardized the how, so a sandwich tastes the same in Tokyo and Nassau. Your mistake to mastery circle must sound the same in plant A and in the call center. Standardized scripts, timings, roles, and artifacts. Consistency creates trust. Trust creates speed. Speed creates scale. Replenish means replace what attrition removes. People move, retire, get promoted, or self-select out. You cannot mourn so long you lose momentum. Build a replenish plan. First pipeline, host monthly, culture open houses. Invite candidates and interns to taste the fruit before they apply. Second, hire to convictions, not just credentials. In interviews, don't ask, can you do Excel? Ask, tell me about a time you restored someone gently. Galatians 6:1. Then audition them. Have them run a 2-minute covenant. Check with strangers. If they refuse, they are not for this house. Third 9, 0-day baptism. New hires must complete apprentice to carrier within 90 days with 2 testimonies and 1 peer they coach. If they don't, extend coaching or adjust fit. Fourth, replace by math. Establish your reproduction index. How many coaches per 25 people? Minimum 1. Ideal is 1 per 12, Jesus' ratio. Watch it monthly. If it dips, pause expansion and flood training. Now hear this wisdom about generosity and governance, free to feed. In step 5, we gave fruit away. Keep giving first fruits to stir appetite. PDFs, videos, open playbooks. Luke 6:38 still works. But once demand rises, institutionalized standards and certifications to protect fidelity. Internal issue, a Green Wave certified facilitator badge after assessment, renew annually. External partners who carry your brand standard must be certified. That fee funds coaching, not profit. It's not greed, it's stewardship. Proverbs 27:23 says, be diligent to know the state of your flocks. Certification is diligence, so your fruit doesn't rot when copied carelessly. And watch the arc. Free created favor. Fee funds fidelity. Fidelity sustains reputation. Reputation attracts dominion. Let me testify. North Dog built the ACCC ladder and launched fruit rings. In 90 days, 46% of the house became carriers, 12% became coaches, and 3 became certifiers. Turnover tried to punch them. 2 carriers left for family reasons, but replenishment outran erosion because 5 apprentices stepped up within a week. Their reproduction index moved from 1 to 60 to 118. Vendors began asking for certification. One big box retailer wrote, we prefer suppliers who can run Quiet Dock to our spec, which was in fact North Dock spec. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish dominion was peeking in. Rivertown followed suit. They made a 12-episode open harvest series for internal media, 1 ritual per month, 5 minutes each, subtitled in Spanish and Haitian Creole. They embedded culture receipts in reviews, no bonus without 2 receipts. Then they hosted a Saturday culture open house. 70 applicants came. They handed out the pocket card and ran live auditions. They hired 25, but watch this, 20 were carriers by day, 30 because the Barnabas pairs were relentless. Attrition couldn't keep up. That's replenish. Write this down. Normalize means no heroics. When your fruit requires a champion to show up, it's fragile. When your systems make it run, even when champions are on vacation, it's culture. So, calendar it, budget it, measure it, credential it, and replenish it. Install a scoreboard for your reproduction index next to your outcome board. Celebrate coaches more than closers. Pay a stipend to ambassadors. They are your Levites carrying the ark of your convictions. Lift your voice and say it, I will multiply and replenish. Again, I will multiply and replenish. Father, as in Genesis 1:28, make us fruitful, multiply us through faithful teachers, replenish what time removes, and set our house in order. Give us Paul's, Timothy's, faithful ones, and others also. Let our distribution outrun our turnover, our training outrun our trials, and our normalization outrun our nostalgia. And we vow to protect what you plant, because culture scales through systems that replicate behaviors faster than turnover erodes them. Write that down, then go build the rings. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue is next. Dominion is waiting. Step 7, subdue and guard. Hear me, order is holy. We have been fruitful. We have multiplied. We have replenished. Now the king's command continues. Subdue and have dominion. Genesis 1:28. Write this down. Subdue means to bring under disciplined order anything that threatens your garden. Guard means to keep watch, to protect what purpose planted. Genesis 2:15 says, God placed the man in the garden to tend it and to keep it. Tend is to cultivate. Keep is to guard. Both are leadership. Say it. Guard the garden. What are we subduing? Name the serpents so you can tame them. Gossip, triangulation that bleeds trust. Cynicism, acid that corrodes vision. Favoritism, poison that praises talent and punishes truth. Passivity, silence when courage is required. Proverbs 26:20 says, without wood a fire goes out, without a gossip a quarrel dies down. And Song of Songs 2:15 warns us, catch the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. Little foxes become big scandals. Write this down. Subdue is proactive, not reactive. You pre-decide the boundary and you preload the consequence before the snake speaks. So we install governance tools to protect fruit, decision rights, escalation paths, culture, court, and restorative discipline. Decision rights are simple. Who can say yes to what? With whose money? By what date? Under which conviction? Map it on one page. If authority is foggy, abuse finds a couch. Escalation paths are mercy. They prevent pressure from becoming gossip. We use a 24-72-7 pledge. Within 24 hours, you address a breach with the person. If unresolved, within 72 hours, you bring a coach. If still unresolved, within 7 days, you escalate to culture court. Matthew 18:15-17 is our blueprint. Go to your brother privately. If he will not hear, take one or two more. If he still refuses, tell it to the church, the peer body. Write that down. Honor first, then help, then hearing. Now, culture court. Listen, this is not a place to humiliate, but to heal, and if necessary, to prune. It's a peer review for culture breaches. Restorative in aim, firm in outcome. The panel is two peers selected by the House, one coach, one certifier, and one elder leader, not in the direct chain of command. The process is clear. Read the covenant aloud, hear the testimony from both sides, examine the receipts, scores, scripts, witness notes, and design an action plan. We call it the A4 path. Admit, amend, apprenticeship, accountability. Admit, own the breach without blame. Amend, make restitution visible, apology, repair, time or treasure return. Apprenticeship, submit to coaching in the breach behavior for 30 days. Accountability, weekly check-ins with a coach and a public close where the panel declares the matter restored. Galatians 6:1 says, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently. But it continues, watch yourselves. Restoration without watch becomes enablement. Write that down. Mercy wears a measuring stick. Covenants over slogans. We are done with posters that beg while behaviors betray. A covenant is an explicit behavioral agreement signed by leaders first with consequences attached. Leaders go first. If you want to inspire, you must bleed first. Our covenant is 10 lines, each tied to a conviction and a fruit. Example. No triangulation. I will speak to you, not about you. Coach before you correct. I will ask, how can I help? Before I issue rebuke. Open ledger. I will tell the truth even when it costs. No favorites. I will distribute opportunities by merit, not by friendship. Courage. First, I will speak the hard thing in the first 5 minutes of the meeting. The covenant states the behavior, the proof, the score, and the first 3 rungs of consequence. Everyone signs annually. Leaders sign publicly with their names posted by the artifacts. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. We sign our names to protect our name. Consequences are guardrails, not guillotines. They keep cars on the road and saints in the covenant. Our rungs are clear and consistent. Counsel, private, documented, coaching with a 7-day improvement plan. Correction, temporary restriction from leading the fruit you breach while you apprentice under a coach. Cost, loss of certain privileges or bonus tied to the covenant ledger. Remember, observance and outcomes are 50 inches reviews. And if a willful pattern remains, change of seat or change of house. Titus 3:10 instructs, warn a divisive person once, then a second time. After that, have nothing to do with them. That's pruning, not pettiness. Pruning multiplies health. Jesus said, every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. Write this down. Removing a high performer who violates values multiplies trust. Noah Doc lived this. They had a top loader fast, gifted, the thunder hand on the floor, but he mocked, coach before you correct. He cut people in public, refused Barnabas' pair notes, and laughed at the green wave star. Culture court convened. A footpath was offered, he admitted, with his mouth, but amended nothing with his hands. 30 days later, same breach, same public cut. The panel moved to cost, then to change of house. They released him with dignity and clarity, and they read the covenant aloud to the shift. No one is above the garden. Did performance dip for 1 week. Then misload defects dropped 19%, grievances fell in half, and quiet courage rose. A vendor wrote, "We trust your floor more now because your values cost you something." That's reputation earned by pruning. Rivertown faced favoritism. A beloved manager was trading prime ships for friendship. The open ledger caught it. 2 apprentices compared notes in a Mr. to Mastery circle. The pattern emerged. Culture Court heard the case. The action? Admit in writing to the team. Amend by reallocating shifts and compensating 2 workers for lost overtime. Apprenticeship under a different coach for 30 days. Accountability through weekly checks and a public close. He submitted, we restored, and trust doubled. Shoppers didn't see a memo. They felt the morale in the aisle. Better is open rebuke than hidden love, says Proverbs 27:5. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Write this down. Restoration done right makes the house stronger than before. Let's get practical. Subdue each toxin with 1 covenant guard. Gossip, install the 2-step courage. If you talk to me about them, we will walk together to them within 24 hours. Break it twice, and you lose the right to raise that issue for 30 days. Instead, you must serve them for 1 hour. Cynicism, replace it with the builder's rule. Bring a better idea or bless the one we have. If you can't contribute, you commit to energize what the team decided for 14 days, then bring your improved proposal with data. Favoritism? Create a visibility ledger, post opportunities, auditions, and awards by criteria, not by coffee dates. Every month, audit 3 decisions in Culture Court for fairness. Passivity? Require the covenant card call out. Anyone can say, covenant check, stop the meeting for 90 seconds, read the line, we are breaching, and reset. If a leader retaliates, the consequence doubles for the leader. Leaders go first, remember. Decision rights, remove confusion drama. Publish a 1-page grid at each site. Who decides staffing? Who decides safety? Who decides vendor approval? Under which conviction? With what consultation? Are you hearing me? Clarity is kindness. Ambiguity is cruelty. And your escalation pledge 24/72/7 must be on the wall next to the artifact. People can't follow a secret law. Now, lift your voice and say it. Guard the garden. Tell your neighbor, no more friendly fire. Again, no more friendly fire. Write this down. Guardrails and pruning protect the garden so the right fruit survives and spreads. When you subdue toxins and guard the covenant, something supernatural happens. Your house becomes predictable in the best way. The market is allergic to chaos. It pays a premium for integrity and consistency. Proverbs 11:3 says, the integrity of the upright guides them. Your integrity will guide customers to your door. They will remember the day you cut a contract rather than cut your covenant. They will talk about the culture court that restored a worker and the pruning that proved your standards. That memory is marketing you cannot buy. That is the bridge to the next command dominion. A guarded garden grows a name the market trusts. And when your name walks into the room before you do, that is dominion knocking. Father, we submit to your order. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and have dominion. Give us courage to write covenants and humility to sign them first. Make our culture courts places of grace and gates of truth. Prune us where we refuse to be coached. Restore us where we repent, and let our guarded garden become a testimony that our values are not vinyl on a wall, but vows in our walk. We will subdue, we will guard, and the market will remember. Amen. Dominion. Hear me. Dominion is not a title you print on a card. It is a memory you plant in the market. Have dominion. Genesis 1:28. Means when people think of a certain problem, a certain promise, a certain way of treating people, they think of you first. Write that down. Dominion is first recall. Say it, first recall. And what earns first recall? not a billboard, not a boast, but a mastered, guarded culture that produces the same sweet fruit again and again until trust becomes reflex. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. And Proverbs 10:7 says, the memory of the righteous is blessed. The market has a memory. When your name is clean and your fruit is consistent, the market blesses your memory with preference. Now I'm talking, you don't control your way into dominion. You cultivate your way into it. Be fruitful. Produce something the world can taste. Multiply. Teach others to produce it. Replenish. Replace what attrition removes. Subdue God the garden. Then and only then, dominion your name walks into rooms before you do. This is why Daniel rose. Scripture says, this Daniel distinguished himself because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king planned to set him over the whole realm. Daniel 6:3. He did not chase a throne. Excellence attracted trust. Say it. We don't chase titles, we attract trust. Again, we don't chase titles, we attract trust. Dominion in business language is market leadership by reputation. It's the marketplace saying, if you want safety with dignity, call North Dock. If you want restoration without drama, call Rivertown. If you want the quiet dock done right, if you want the green wave that protects people and product, if you want the mistake to mastery circle that turns errors into equity, call that house. That's not marketing, that's memory. And memory is a moat. Write that down. Memory is a moat. What's your Whopper of culture? Everybody flips burgers, but Burger King said, we have a Whopper, and the market remembers that signature. What's your signature behavior that no one else can counterfeit because it grew out of your purpose and is guarded by your covenant? Maybe it's coach before you correct, and your supervisors are world class at hard truth with soft hands. Maybe it's open ledger, radical transparency that vendors tell stories about. Maybe it's green wave, a safety dance at the dock that visitors film and post. That signature is your Whopper of culture. Say it. What's my Whopper? Write it down right now. The one thing we will be famous for in how we behave. Mastery and domain. Listen, wealth follows mastery, and mastery requires a niche. You were born to master something, and your house was birthed to master a way. Do not try to be everything to everyone. If your purpose is dignify labor, then master practices that dignify. If your purpose is restore value, then master restorative systems. Stop changing your major every year. This is dumb. Choose a domain so narrow you can own it. Then deepen it until your processes, your proverbs, your artifacts, and your outcomes are synonymous with excellence in that domain. Tiger Woods didn't try to master every sport. He mastered a swing. Oprah didn't try to host every show. She mastered an interview. What's your swing? What's your Oprah question? What's your Whopper of culture? External proof will testify. Retention rises because people don't leave gardens, they leave deserts. Referrals overtake recruiters because staff become evangelists. Come work here. They keep their covenant. Employer brand elevates without a commercial because applicants read your culture court story online and whisper. They prune a top performer for values. Of this house is safe. Customer loyalty increases because consistency reduces anxiety. Vendors line up because your dock starts on time, ends on time, and treats drivers like image bearers. Write this down. Dominion shows up on dashboards. Referral rate, first choice employer ranking, repeat customer percentage, price premium tolerated, time to fill, reduced, defect rates down. Culture is not soft. It is the hardest edge in the market. Let me testify. Hog Island to paradise culture. You know my nation's parable. There was a place called Hog Island, wild and rough. Someone saw what eyes could not see, renamed it Paradise Island, cultivated it, and the world came. In your house, we watch hog attitude become paradise culture. Same people, same square footage, different spirit. They renamed their morning huddle Open Harvest, posted the covenant, ran coach before you correct, and pruned a marker publicly and gently. 90 days later, turnover fell, applicants doubled, and a shipping partner wrote, we prefer your site because we breathe when we're here. That's paradise. And the cookie lady principle still stands. There was a woman who baked one thing brilliantly. She didn't open a supermarket, she mastered a cookie. She gave it free on Fridays. gathered names on a clipboard, delivered on time, smiled the same smile every week, and kept the recipe holy. 2 years later, there was a line. Competition tried to copy the flour and the sugar, but they couldn't copy the spirit, the welcome at the door, the handwritten notes, the way she hired neighborhood grandmothers and called them aunties of the oven. She didn't chase a cupcake title. She attracted trust. By their fruit you will know them. Matthew 7:16. Consistent fruit creates dominion. No dog's name is being chosen in rooms they are not in. A retailer said, we will pay a premium for your cruise because the injury record and the dignity score travel with you. Did you hear that? The dignity score. Their culture is now a product. Rivertown was voted first choice employer in their county by a local journal after they published their culture court process. They didn't buy an ad. They bought a pruning. That's market memory. Proverbs 3-4 promises, then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Favor is not fog. It is the gravitational pull of a trusted name. Write this down. Dominion is stewardship of a name. Guard it like a garden. Your whopper of culture must be teachable, testable, and transferable. Teachable scripts, artifacts, stories. Testable scores, receipts, reviews. Transferable ambassadors can carry it across shifts and sites without you. And then you wait, not with arms folded, but with hands faithful. Memory takes time, but time surrenders to consistency. Seed becomes tree, tree becomes orchard, orchard becomes a landmark on the map. People give directions by your name. Lift your voice. We don't chase titles. We attract trust. Say it again. I steward my name. One more time. Our fruit will make us first. Father, we ask for the grace to master our domain and the courage to protect our name. Make our signature behavior unmistakable. Let our reputation become a refuge for workers, a promise to customers, a standard for partners. Keep us from dilution and distraction. May our excellent spirit, like Daniel's, attract responsibility we did not campaign for. And when tests come, because they will anchor us, so the market's memory of our integrity endures, we will be fruitful, we will multiply, we will replenish, we will subdue, and by your wisdom, we will have dominion. Amen. Now listen, after the announcement of dominion, expect the examination of dominion. Every true vision will be tested. Write that down. Vision attracts wind. 1 Peter 1-7 says, your faith is tested by fire, so it may prove genuine. James 1-4 says, count it all joy, because the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance finish its work. Did you hear that? Endurance has a job. It builds depth under what we built wide. So do not be surprised when pressure visits your garden. Storms don't mean you miss God. Storms mean you planted something worth blowing on. The tests are predictable. Legacy influences, the old guard who say, we've seen these programs before. They pass like clouds. They carry history, but sometimes weaponize it. They have soft power, back channel authority, the ability to nod and stall. Then the metrics dip the J curve of change. You tighten quality at the dock, throughput slows for 2 weeks, error counts look worse before they look better. Your eyes scream, go back. Then the gossip campaign, the whisper war. They prune John because they're insecure. Culture court is a witch hunt. Nehemiah faced this spirit. Sanballat and Tobiah sent rumors to pull him off the wall. Nehemiah 6. Then leader fatigued Elijah moment. After the fire from heaven, he sat under a broom tree and said, I've had enough. 1 Kings 19. Leaders are not robots. They bleed. Write this down. It's normal, but it's not final. What do? We install resilience tools before the storm. So in the storm, we don't invent a plan. First, short feedback loops. The longer the loop, the louder the lies. We set a Monday 15, a midweek green wave check, and a Friday open harvest testimony minute. The Monday 15 reviews 3 numbers only. Fruit, what tangible practice we produce, trust, our dignity or covenant score, and trend, are we getting better by 1% this week. Midweek, we run the 24-72-7 pledge on any breach and close loops fast so rumors have nowhere to sleep. Friday, someone tells a story of the blueprint working. Say it, short loop, save faith, Write this down. Measure weekly. Correct quickly. Celebrate loudly. Second, celebrate small wins. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Proverbs 13:12. The antidote is hope delivered in small doses. When a crew hits 7 days of green wave compliance, ring the bell. When an apprentice leads a coach before you, correct moment without freezing. Stop the floor for 60 seconds and clap. When a customer says, we felt safe, print the email, post it, read it. The world doesn't eat seeds. The world eats fruit. So let them taste samples early. A win a day keeps despair away. Tell your neighbor, don't wait for a harvest festival. Taste fruit now. Third, rotate storytellers. Do not let the microphone belong to the same three voices. Legacy influencers often melt when they have to look into the eyes of the fruit. Put the apprentice who was restored by culture court on the mic. Let a vendor testify. Your dock started on time every day this month. Let the aunties of the oven talk about hiring with dignity. Rotate across shifts. Night shift needs to hear day shift's courage, and vice versa. We call it the Barnabas rotation. Encouragers take turns. Revelation 12:11 says they overcame by the word of their testimony. Testimony is fuel. Share it. Fourth leader, Sabbath. If you don't schedule rest, fatigue will schedule folly. God himself modeled rhythm. 6 days shall you labor, but on the seventh day you shall rest. Exodus 20:9-10. Even the land had a Sabbath. Leviticus 25. Leaders, stop pretending you are busier than God. We practice a 6-1-6 rhythm. 6 weeks of push. 1 week of light load and reflection. 6 hours of focus in a day. 1 hour non-negotiable think time. 6 days of labor. 1 day of sacred rest. Months. Phones off. Souls on. Elijah was fed and slept before he heard the whisper. Fatigue makes cowards of visionaries. Write this down. Rest is a strategy. Now, about sight versus vision. This is where most cultures abort the baby. The greatest enemy of your vision is your eyes. Sight reports the dip and the drama. Vision reports the destination. Habakkuk 2-3 says, the vision awaits an appointed time. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will surely come. During turbulence, don't trust your eyes. Trust the blueprint. Be fruitful. Multiply. Replenish. Subdue. Have dominion. You don't delete steps because a wave slapped your boat. Jesus didn't promise if the storm comes. He said when the storm came, the house on the rock stood. Matthew 7:24-27. The rock is not hype. It is hearing and doing the word, your covenant behaviors on repeat. Let me testify so your faith stands. North Dock faced a legacy influencer named Uncle Ray. 30 years of flying fingers, proud of cutting corners. When the green wave rolled in, he winked at guys and ran lows through the red. Throughput dipped, tempers flared. Gossip said the green wave was management theater. We held the line. Short feedback loops caught violations within hours, not weeks. We celebrated the first injury-free fortnight with a bell and a barbecue. We rotated storytellers. A driver who used to fear the dock said, I call your site the breathing dock. Uncle Ray got an invitation to teach the new way. He shrugged it off and doubled down. Culture court met. A four-path was offered. He chose legend over learning. During the storm, we did not panic. We pruned. 2 weeks later, loads normalized, defect rates dropped, and the whisper war ran out of oxygen. Tell your neighbor, we prune in storms. We don't panic. Say it again. We prune in storms. We don't panic. Rivertown saw the J-curve too. They published their culture court, and the county journal called them first choice employer. Do you think the enemy left them alone? Applications spiked. Onboarding lagged. Floor speed slowed. Eyes said, we're slipping. Vision said, tighten the apprenticeship, shorten loops, ring more bells. They instituted a daily one fruit, one fact huddle, one practice we honor today, one metric we improved yesterday. They rotated testimonies and enforced leader Sabbath. Within a month, their new hire retention stabilized, and customer wait times returned to baseline with higher satisfaction. Endurance validated the culture. One more safeguard, pre-decide your turbulence plan. Write a J-curve memo before you launch change. The first 2 weeks numbers may worsen by up to X. We will not abandon the covenant within that window. Put thresholds on pair. Pair novices with coaches. Freeze the covenant vocabulary. You don't rewrite promises in rain. Esau sold his birthright for stew because pain made him impatient. Genesis 25. Don't sell your culture for sight-based stew. Lift your voice. Eyes lie in storms. Vision tells the truth. Say it. Endurance is our advantage. Tell your neighbor, we prune in storms. We don't panic. Again, we prune in storms. We don't panic. And hear the promise. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown. James 1:12. Your crown in the market is memory that you did not flinch. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Isaiah 43:2. You're not alone. The architect is in the boat. Father, anchor our hearts when numbers wobble and rumors wander. Give us the grace to keep short loops, the joy to celebrate small fruit, the wisdom to rotate voices, and the humility to rest. Harden our resolve where you have spoken. Soften our hands where people are learning, and let our endurance deepen what our excellence began. We will not trust our eyes in a storm. We will trust your blueprint. We will be fruitful. We will multiply. We will replenish. We will subdue. And after the test, by your faithfulness, we will have dominion. Amen. Now we move from amen to action. Faith without works is dead. James 2:17. Write that down. Prayer waters, seeds, plans, put shovels in the ground. For the next 90 days, we will time box influence and put feet on this revelation. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, have dominion, not as a sermon lyric, but as a calendar. Say it, we will put dates on our dominion. Days 1 through 30, seed and sightline. Purpose first. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain that he may run. That reads it. Take the first week and finalize your purpose sentence, a single line that authorizes your garden and forbids weeds. 12 words or fewer. Test it with 2 questions. Does this sentence give us permission to say no to distraction? Does it give us courage to prune contradiction? If it cannot say no and cannot prune, it is not purpose, it is poetry. Write that down. Then identify 5 convictions, the non-negotiables, that guard your purpose, not beliefs in your head, but boundaries in your house. For each conviction, define 1 visible behavior, a move you can see, measure, and reward. Conviction, dignity first. Behavior, coach before you correct. Ask 2 questions before any directive. Conviction, transparency. Behavior, open ledger, share the daily score with the crew before noon. Conviction, safety is love. Behavior, green wave, no load moves on a red light. Conviction, ownership. Behavior, 24, 72, 7 act in 24 hours. Coach within 72. Close the loop by day 7. Conviction, rest for excellence. Behavior, lead a Sabbath. Publish your weekly off-grid hour. The world doesn't eat seeds, the world eats fruit. So turn convictions into fruit. Leaders, go first publicly. Schedule your first fruits modeling moment in week 2. Put it on the calendar now. I mean now. 10 minutes on the floor in front of your people. Demonstrate 1 behavior per day for 5 days. Don't delegate it. If you don't deploy yourself, you'll be employed by other people's emergencies. Film it on a phone. Post it to the crew channel. Ask for feedback. This is not theater. It is testimony. Daniel did not advertise an excellent spirit. He displayed it until kings noticed Daniel 6-3. Say it, leaders. Go first. And while you model, prune 1 toxic behavior this week. Just 1. Gossip in meetings. Put a no triangles tent card on the table and redirect live. If we speak about them, we will speak with them. Eye rolling at safety lights. Pause the line and rerun the green wave like souls are on it, because they are. Record the prune in a culture court light note. What we saw, what we did, what we learned. This is how you subdue without shouting, by covenant in public, not control in private. Are you getting this? Days 31 through 60, fruit and feedback. Be fruitful. Produce 3 cultural fruits that people can touch. 1 ritual, 1 artifact, 1 language guide. Ritual, open harvest, a 5-minute stand-up at shift. Start where one person names yesterday's fruit and thanks appear. Artifact covenant card, a pocket-sized laminated card with the 5 convictions and their behaviors, signed by every leader. Put your logo on one side and Genesis 1:28 on the other, because this is your operating system. Language guide, the green glossary, define your unique phrases so new people can speak your culture by day 7. Coach, before you correct, open ledger, 1 fruit, 1 fact, culture court, a 4-path. Own the dictionary. You will own the dialogue. Pilot in 2 teams, 1 veteran team, 1 new crew. 30 days. Share freely. Give the ritual and artifact to both, but let them customize at 10% so ownership grows. Measure what matters daily. Trust index. Voluntary feedback volume. Cross-team collaboration. And values-based promotions in process. Trust index. 1 pulse question 3 times a week. I felt respected at work today. Thumbs up or down. Voluntary feedback volume. Count how many unsolicited suggestions or testimonies arrive each week. When people trust you, they talk to you. Cross-team collaboration. Track, cross-shift, assist, or inter-department solves. When culture is healthy, silos soften. Values-based promotions. When you promote, document which covenant behaviors were observed. Promotions become sermons. Tell your neighbor, metrics are mirrors, not whips. Share freely and refine. Like the cookie lady, giving free samples on Fridays. Let the house taste the ritual. Invite a neighboring site to observe. Post the open harvest playbook in the break room. Ask 3 questions every Friday. What worked? What felt awkward? What we will tweak on Monday. Money follows value. Momentum follows visible fruit. Keep your loop short. Write this down. Measure weekly. Correct quickly. Celebrate loudly. Days 61 through 90. Multiply, replenish, and guard. Multiply. Train the trainer. Choose an ambassador cohort. 5 to 7 cross-shift practitioners who are already living the behaviors. Do not pick the loudest. Pick the most faithful. Train them to teach the ritual, distribute the artifact, and coach the language guide. Give them scripts, not slogans. Shadow them for 2 cycles, then release them to teach others. Replenish, embed the culture into onboarding and reviews. New hires receive the covenant card on day 1, practice the ritual by day 3, and must lead a 2-minute open harvest by day 7. Reviews now include a fruit column. Rate the 5 behaviors with stories, not just numbers. Subdue and guard, publish your consequence map and covenants. Put the 24/72 7-path on 1 page. Breach, response, coaching, pruning. Publish the culture court steps, the appeals process, the grace options. Consequences should be predictable like sunrise. Covenants should be accessible like water. And now, have the beginnings of dominion. Publish your name. Post your whopper of culture, that signature behavior you will be famous for on the wall, on the website, on the vendor packet. In this house, we coach before we correct. Make it your fragrance. A good name is chosen rather than great riches, Proverbs 22:1, and you are choosing yours in public. Nor dark ran this sprint. Day 14, purpose was carved. Day 27, Uncle Ray was invited to model. He refused. Culture court met. Day 38, open harvest launched. The first testimony came from a vendor. Day 59, the green glossary ended arguments because words were settled. Day 83, ambassadors ran onboarding without a manager in the room. Day 90, they published the consequence map, and gossip dried up like dew at noon. That's acceleration. Let me make this painfully practical. Micro steps. Schedule your first leader modeling moment before you sleep. 10 minutes. Pick 1 behavior. Invite 2 peers to watch. Film it. Second, pick 1 toxic behavior to prune by Friday at 5 p.m. Name it. Write the covenant alternative. Prepare the sentence. In this house, we. Third, choose your 2 pilot teams and appoint an ambassador lead for each by day 21. Fourth, send the open harvest script to every supervisor by day 30 and require a single run-through. Fifth, set your 4 metrics on 1 page. Trust index, voluntary feedback, volume, cross-team collaboration count, values-based promotion notes, and review them every Monday 15. You don't need a dashboard to start. You need a notebook and a will. Scripture says, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion. Genesis 1:28. That is not poetry. It is project management. 30 days fruitful. 30 days multiplying and replenishing. 30 days subduing and stepping into a name. Say it. I am a culture architect. I deploy purpose. I don't police people. Again, I am a culture architect. I deploy purpose. I don't police people. One more time. Purpose leads. Behaviors preach. Fruit persuades. Write this down. Time boxes break excuses. 90 days is short enough to start and long enough to see fruit. Do not trust your eyes on day 10. Trust the blueprint. Do not wait for a perfect prototype in the presence of people. Give it away free. Let them taste samples. Prune what lies. Protect what lives. And when you come to day 90, don't throw a party for paper. Throw a party for people. Call the ambassadors by name. Read a vendor's testimony. Promote the quiet champion because your values demand it. Then take a breath and start the next 90 with a deeper root and a brighter reputation. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Proverbs 3-4. This is how we convert blueprint into momentum on purpose, on calendar, in public with fruit. Now go deploy, lift your head and lift your voice. This is the moment of identity and commissioning. Write this down. Identity drives activity. Activity produces fruit. Fruit establishes memory. If you don't deploy yourself, you'll be employed by other people's emergencies. Today we deploy you on purpose, with conviction, by covenant. Say this with me, loud and without apology. I am necessary. Again, I am necessary. Say it until doubt packs his bag. I am necessary. Now say, I am trusted. Again, I am trusted. Say it. Trust follows truth, and I tell the truth. Now declare, I lead by inspiration, not intimidation. Once more, I lead by inspiration, not intimidation. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, not manipulation. Generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, birthed by a conviction, produced by a sense of purpose. Turn the sentence upside down. Purpose produces conviction. Conviction births vision. Vision ignites passion. Passion inspires people. And inspiration creates influence that people call leadership. That is who you are. That is what you do. Now, as a community, we pledge. Say it with me. In this house, leaders go first. Again, leaders go first. We are model first, fruit first, system first leaders. Model first. We demonstrate, coach, before you correct in public. We do not outsource courage. Fruit first. We do not sell seeds. We produce practices people can taste. Open harvest, green wave, open ledger. System first. We install Monday 15. We keep 24/72/7 loops short. We publish the covenant card. We train ambassadors. We guard with culture, court, and grace on the A4 path. Say it. We measure weekly. Correct quickly. Celebrate loudly. We guard our rest. Lead a Sabbath because excellence breeds. We freeze our vocabulary. Green glossary so confusion cannot colonize our house. We prune with love and we praise with names. In this house we do not gossip. We go to our brother. No triangles. No intimidation. Influence over everything. Write that down. This is our community pledge. Now hear your charge straight from the blueprint of heaven. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion. Genesis 1:28. This is not a poem. It is your operating system. Be fruitful. Produce tangible cultural fruit every week. A ritual practice. An artifact carried. A testimony told. Multiply. Teach others to do it. Train ambassadors. Make yourself unnecessary by making others effective. Replenish, bake it into onboarding, reviews, and rhythms, so what leaves is replaced without begging. Subdue set covenants and consequences in the light. Prune contradictions swiftly and kindly. Then walk in dominion. Let your name be chosen before your proposal is read. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Proverbs 22:1 and Proverbs 3-4 promises. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Say it. I will be fruitful. I will multiply. I will replenish. I will subdue. And by consistency, I will have dominion. Lift your hands like you are receiving tools. I place in your hands the script of open harvest. Use it to feed hope. I place in your hands the green glossary. Use it to tame language. I place in your hands the covenant card. Use it to align hearts. I place in your hands the Monday 15. Use it to keep truth near. I place on your shoulders the mantle of model first leadership. Use it to inspire, not intimidate. Joshua 1-9 thunders, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. You are not alone. The architect of purpose walks your floor. Now see the future with me. When I come back, I want to taste your culture fruit in every hallway. I want to hear the bell ring because a crew finished 7 days of Green Wave with joy. I want to meet a new hire who can lead Open Harvest by day 7 and quote your 5 convictions without looking at the card. I want a vendor to pull me aside and whisper, we call this the breathing house. I want to see your whopper of culture on the wall and in the wild coach before you correct. So consistent it feels like gravity. I want to read a culture court story posted in the break room that made people safer and stronger. I want to meet ambassadors who multiply faster than turnover erodes. I want to see your trust index up, your voluntary feedback overflowing, your cross-team collaborations normal, and a promotion list annotated with covenant fruit. That is the taste of dominion, memory made edible. Now open your mouth and seal it. Say, I am necessary. I am trusted. I lead by inspiration, not intimidation. Say, I am a culture architect. I deploy purpose. I don't police people. Say, my house produces fruit the world can taste. Say, our name will be chosen because our fruit is consistent. Tell your neighbor, don't sell seeds, produce something. Again, don't sell seeds, produce something. Let me pray and commission you. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for purpose discovered, convictions codified, vision painted, leaders inspired, fruit produced, systems multiplying, covenants guarding, and dominion emerging. Place an excellent spirit in this house like Daniel, that kings and clients will plan to set them over realms. Daniel 6-3. Establish the work of their hands. Teach their fingers to fight and their hearts to rest. Let their endurance finish its work so that they may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. James 1-4. May favor and a good name wrap around them like a garment. And now, I commission you as influence-driven leaders. Model first, fruit first, system first. Go be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and walk in dominion. When I come back, I will taste your culture fruit in every hallway. Amen?